passage last week. This is Acts 2:42-47. This is like the quintessential, like church in a few lines, like picture of like what the early church looked like. And it says this in describing them. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers, and awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together, breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to their number day by day. As I was reading this, I was like, it's interesting that there's so many parts of this that we're like, yes, we're all about, right? Like the apostles' teaching, like we could say that's reading the Bible, or even like in a lesser sense, like just hearing teaching on a Sunday morning, like, yes, we're all about it, right? Or, we're totally happy to hang out together and share a meal, and we love seeing like signs and wonders, and I mean, I think there was like our worship set this morning, like that was a moment where like the awe of God, I think, was in the room as we were all like proclaiming his worthiness. We're like we're all about so many parts of these things. And then it's like, we're kind of like, and they shared their need, they shared all of their possessions and they sold it. Like that's so radical, right? They were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. I mean, that's radical. I feel like most times when I have like a conversation about this passage or been in a Bible study or maybe even heard messages on it, people are so quick to be like, well, context matters here. Of course it does. Yes, absolutely. 1,000% context matters. And for instance, in the description of this early church, like many of these early believers were out-of-towners that were on kind of like an ancient version of a vacation, and they didn't expect their entire faith and lifestyle to get flipped upside down on their trip to Jerusalem. And so they're like, well, I need to be here because this is the epicenter of where everything that just totally radically changed my life is happening, but I don't have anything. I was ready to travel for a month. Now it's 6 or 12 or whatever it is, right? And then also you could add culturally, it's probably more common to take care of your family and closest friends during this time. Sure, that's cultural norms. That's absolutely all true. But at the same time, let's not context away the power and the radical nature of the early church. I don't care how common it was to take care of it. They were literally they were selling their homes to meet the needs of each other. I don't know if I like any of you enough to sell my house and then hopefully move in with you, right? But let's just sit in it for a minute. Like, selling their possessions and belongings, distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. That's radical. It's almost as crazy as believing God cares enough to heal shin splints on a soccer field. 2 chapters later, the author Luke, on a similar topic and description of the church, really puts an exclamation point on it. In chapter 4, verse 34, he says, "There was not a needy person among them, for as many as were owners of lands or houses sold them and brought the proceeds to what was sold and distributed to any as any had need." Think about that. There was not a needy person among them. Could you imagine if that could be said about Vineyard Northwest? Let it be, Lord. There's not a needy person among them. Could something like this work today? Should we all just go sell our properties and move in together? We could do like a shanty town in the basement here. Lots of like little tents. Share all of our things, have like a common purse. I don't know, Luke wouldn't let me make that the application point today. But here's one thing I want us to get. Just as much as the evidence of the kingdom is signs and wonders, it's caring for one another. It's meeting the needs of our fellow brothers and sisters.